like to introduce one of the best photographers, the only photographer, is there, in the hotel photography, is Mauro Risch, who will talk about the importance of photography, how it can impact your direct bookings. Please welcome on stage Mauro Risch. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Can you all hear me well at the back? Good. It's great to be here again at Maximum Occupancy. It's always a pleasure to be talking to hoteliers. And big kudos to Adrian and Fast Track team for organizing such an amazing event. It's been fantastic. And today I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about my craft, photography. I've specialized in commercial photography for hotels and resorts and all hospitality venues. And it's been fantastic for the last few years. I had the chance to work with some of the best hoteliers from all kinds, from all places, all corners, mostly Asia Pacific, but it's been such a great journey. One thing I would love to ask you, if you don't mind, I've seen you raise your hands the whole day, yesterday and today, but I would love to ask you, how many of you have updated the gallery, the image gallery in the last 5 years, please? Wow, 100%. That's beautiful. And how many of you have updated that image gallery in the last year or so? Please raise your hands. So that's about 50%. That's fantastic. And I get that quite a lot. A lot of people in the industry get really stressed about photography when it comes time to portray your property or your hotel, your resort, your motel. And it shouldn't be that stressful because there's a lot of great stuff for us to see and stories that we have to tell. And this is the most important thing that I really want to tell you is visuals rule, yes. And when I say visuals, I'm not only talking about photography. I'm really saying every image tool that you can use. Photos and videos, yes. But if you have the chance to do virtual tours, if you have the chance to use hybrid shapes or GIFs, animations, illustrations, every visual asset that you can add, my opinion is that it might help you on your sales funnel. Don't underestimate the power of images. We are a visual world. We are, yes, in a day and age where everything is visual, and it's a very powerful tool not to use when we're talking about sales. Why images are important for hotels and resorts and motels? Well, at some point during the sales funnel, images are decision-making points. It says 60% here, but I really do believe that it's probably more than 60% part of the process. People will come and go, and they will start that journey of their holiday, or even if it's a corporate trip, they will start their journey way before the trip really starts happening. So we should consider that. It's a very interesting thing that has kept me thinking for the last few years. And yes, visual sell, absolutely. I always say, when I say that, a lot of people say other things also sell, but in the hotel industry, that's what I'm mostly concerned about. And how long do we have available to tell our stories to our guests, to our travel shoppers? This is quite interesting. I heard Adrian say this morning that everything is going mobile. On my end, I'm not fully mobile because I like big images. I like seeing big screens. But I can see that if people are shopping or thinking of their destination, where they're going next, if they're working on a desktop, they will spend 2.5 seconds on each image before they move to the next one. So that's all you have for you to tell your story. Consider that. It's not really a long period of time. And if they're on mobile, it's even less. 1.7 seconds. That's the average time people will hold on before they use their thumb to scroll to the next image. So it's quite an interesting thing that we have to think about. We don't have a lot of time to tell our stories, but the little time that we have available, we should be able to tell our stories the best possible way. That's why I'm always saying one photo is worth 1,000 bookings, because you might just lose that 1.7 seconds and that's gone. People might not come back to check what your offerings are. So be aware of that. It's something that I've been really thinking about, and it has become a very important thing that on my message to my clients. I want to do a test with you now, and for those ones who attended my previous presentations, I've changed all my photos, so the photos from the past are not there anymore. These are new photos. I have the chance to shoot a few properties in Thailand last month, and I've included some of this in this presentation. So the test is basically, I'm going to give you 3 seconds for you to see the next slide. After the 3 seconds, I'm going to give you all 30 seconds to discuss with your neighbor, to buddy up with your neighbor, and discuss what you just saw. You guys okay? Can I go on for 3 seconds? You focused? Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Okay, you have 30 seconds to discuss what you just saw, please. You didn't see anything? 10 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, time is over. Can I hear from anyone who was able to see what happened in those 3 seconds? Anyone can help me here? A bathtub. A lady in a bathtub, that's very good. Fantastic. Any tropical, yes. Outdoorsy. You see, women are more about the emotional, right? That's amazing, and that's very important for me. Thank you for that. Wyndham, yes. You see, you saw already the branding. Fantastic. Anybody else? Sorry? Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Thank you for that. Fantastic. That's the exact intention of my slide, is really to give you what is the power of an image compared to captions. We used to be really worried about describing, flat screen TV, air conditioning, bathroom amenities, everything, but I don't know how much time people really do spend reading the captions on a website or anywhere. The photos can really tell a story much quicker and much more efficiently than text. I like that. And I'm going to show you what the image is next. This is the slide that I just presented you before. So it's really a photo and kind of a description next to it of what the hotel or what the resort wanted to say. It's a much more powerful thing for us to see images. Being visual people, we all read images much faster than text. All good? Did you have the chance now to see it? But normally the guests shopping for accommodation will not have that much time, the luxury of, I don't know how many seconds or maybe a minute to watch an image, to see everything. So we have really short time to grab their attention. That's very important for us to be aware of. This is a bit of the technical side of it. Yes, 90% of the information that comes to our brain is visual. We are bombarded by visual stuff all day, non-stop. With social media, I think it's even worse because we are addicted, yes, so it's non-stop. It's almost like a fatigue of that kind of thing. Too much information all the time. We need a little bit of cleansing sometimes, just to go away and stop it. But it's a reality, and this is a technical thing that I found. The reading of an image is 60,000 times faster than text. That's unbelievable, amazing. So it's such a powerful tool for us to tell our stories. And when I say stories, I'm not only saying stories on Instagram or stories on TikTok or Reels. I'm saying all stories. Sometimes we take it too big. I'm saying story. If I'm talking about sustainability, a photo of the water dispensers of the bathroom amenities on the wall, that tells a story, that you are aware of sustainability, that this is part of the DNA of your hotel or your brand. This is something interesting that we should consider. Sometimes simple photos will tell the story as well as a long video. Of course, there's always a room for either media, but we should always consider that. This is something I had a chance, this is the same photo. This is a hybrid, so it's a mix of photo and video. Some people call it moving stills. I call it a cinematograph. And I love the use of this because it's part photo, part video. It's not one thing. It can be used in many, many different applications. I love suggesting my clients to use that at the home page, because this is really interesting. It's kind of a photo, and then you give it a second look. Things are moving, and you can control what can be moved or not. I really love it. But it can also be used in any media that you want. I suggested recently that a newsletter from one of my clients should send this type of material to them. And they said that the response was really interesting. People do pay attention to this kind of thing. It's a bit surprising. It has a very high engagement. So again, if you need to know, this is a cinematograph. It has been done for many, many years, but not always I have the chance to show you the same image that I just showed you before. Now, I would love to share with you a recent story. I have many stories, yes, after being in Australia for so long and working with hotels for decades. There are always amazing stories, but I have a very recent story that was kind of unexpected. I was in Qantas Lounge, yes. I'm always waiting for my next flight at Qantas Lounge. And I met this GM that I had the chance to work with in Adelaide early this year. And he came to me, yeah, hi Mauro, how are you? Everything is fine. How's your family? And I noticed that he couldn't stop smiling. He had a smile from ear to ear. That was really like, I almost went on and said, man, why are you smiling? Why are you nonstop? Is that something, do you see, am I wearing something weird? And then before I even went for the question, he said, I just had my annual meeting with the owner of our properties. I said, yeah, and I know that that's kind of a tense moment for most people that I talk to. But it was interesting because he came to me and said, you remember that we did our photos early this year? And yeah, it was nice. We spent a week. We did conferencing. We did food. We did everything. F&B outlets, common areas, drone. We did everything. It was fantastic. But he said, one of our properties, the smaller properties in the surroundings of Adelaide, went really well. The day after we uploaded the new images, or we refreshed our image gallery on the website and with the OTAs, our bookings went up by 37%. Okay, thank you for that. That's amazing. I think that's something that gives me pride and makes me feel that I'm going the right direction. And then he said, look, do you remember the large property, the 4.5-star one? I said, yeah, I do. Well, that one jumped by 42% in bookings. And not always I have the chance to hear that from the hoteliers themselves. I get a lot of stats from the big players, from the OTAs, but it's not very specific. But this was really a case where he shared some gem with me. It was fantastic. I love that. And it makes me feel that this kind of work, or the work that I've been doing, is trending towards one place, which makes me feel really good. It's something that, first of all, working with hoteliers, I couldn't ask for better. It's way different to working with advertising agencies in my previous life in Brazil. I love working with hotels. It's just the best. And it really felt great that I could add value to an operator or a GM that had two properties and we worked together. So this was really, really special for me. Why do we update our image galleries? Yeah, anyone can give me an answer about that? Why do we update our image galleries? There's no right or wrong answer here. Sorry? create new interest, yes. Refreshing the interest and engagement, yes. Of course, because we want more sales and we want more bookings and everything else. But one thing I've been really giving thought about is it all? Why is it important to keep this happening and refreshing our images and making it really interesting and try to grab our travelers' attention at some point? So my idea or my philosophical think about this is to be in charge of the narrative. We are talking about stories everywhere. Everything is stories. And I think when you update your image gallery, it really gives you the chance to be in charge of the narrative. So you are the one telling the stories, not waiting for someone to tell the story for you. Be it about sustainability, about sense of place, a sense of scale, what is the location where you are, what's the experience. When you do that, you are in charge of what you're doing. You are telling your own story, and this is very important. This day and age, yes, people want to hear about stories, and I think this is the one tool that will allow you to do that. I'm really a big fan of that thought. Just at the back of my mind, yeah, how much revenue could you be adding by refreshing your gallery or getting the right images? We only have those 2.5 seconds or 1.7 seconds. Be aware of that. It's very important. What hotel images travel shoppers want to see? I have had this stats for the last four years, and the images have kept changing. So I'll have an answer for you, but I'll show you what the image I think we should be thinking about. I was asked, actually, before the presentation, what do I think about lifestyle shots with talent? Yes, phenomenal. Which is the most important? There is no right or wrong here, but I think travel shoppers want to see it all. The more you feed them with images, with your own stories, the better. That's my take. There's no more important or less important. The thing is, we'll be limited by budget. The exercise of having models on site is not a cheap exercise, and the photos will not have a long shelf life. They also have a licensing limitation. Models will only sign image releases for 1, 2, maybe 5 years. But you don't want to keep the same photo with the same mom and dad for 5 years on your website. You get tired of that. So it's an exercise that we have to think about. And people want to see themselves. A single traveler for corporate wants to see herself. She wants to know that she will be safe when she's traveling alone. Young couples, they want to see themselves in the photos. Yes. Families, they want to know that their kids will be safe. F&Bs, size of the rooms, the view, yes. Aerial drone shots from a beautiful tropical island, the size of the room and the view. And the one thing that I was really surprised when I came to Australia is that bathrooms are a big thing, so we keep showing bathrooms all the time. I have nothing against it. If your demographic wants to see bathrooms, show them. Let them see what your bathrooms are like. There's no shame in showing it, but it's an interesting approach because, in my opinion, it's not really part of my holiday or my corporate trip, my business trip. But people love seeing the bathrooms. And food, tell them anything you can, all your assets. Don't be ashamed of revealing everything you have available. And this is the one thing that I get a lot. People most of the time expect the right moment to do a photo shoot. But we're gonna be doing now the new curtains. We're changing the carpets. We are doing a new landscape. We're doing everything new. Sometimes we just lose that moment to be there and have the mind share that we wanted, and the guests could be booking with you just because you don't have the new curtains yet. It's a tough decision, but you have to be aware of that. The more the better. Of course, I would have to say that, but this is what I really believe. Don't wait too long. 2 years between shoots might be a little bit too much, or 5 years. This is something that we have to be aware of, and I would strongly recommend that you think about it. And then know your demographics. Before I can answer what photos work for your property better, I have to understand who is your demographic. Is it corporate Monday to Thursday and leisure Friday to Sunday? Is it school holidays strong? Is that an up and down market? I really need to understand, and if you haven't done that exercise with the professionals that you hire, you should share that information with the photographer or the videographer, because that will change the way we tell your story. It is very important for you to be aware of that. In here, of course, yeah, I want to know what my arrival experience is. I want to know what the view from my room is. Can you cater for private dining, gala dinner, or just a U-shaped conference room? Anything. Team bonding experience. Oh, this one here. And of course, after a conference, a long conference, 2-3 days, I have to mention, I think Aussie guests love having the chance to really just enjoy a drink, go to a nice bar, have a decent drink, relax, talk about everything else but business. I think show them everything you show works on your behalf. And again, I see sometimes the pain. Most of the hoteliers and most of the operators are living every day, 24/7, everything at the property. And all you can see is cracks on the wall, a bit of dust on the corner of the bathroom. This is part of the world. I understand it because you have your trained eyes to see that. But sometimes calling a professional with trained eyes, a photographer or a videographer, I'm sure he or she can help you find beauty where you no longer see beauty, and tell your story with a nice way where you will be proud of your property. This is my favorite feeling. When we finish the photo shoot, I deliver the images, and I can see the face of the owner or the GM or the marketing team just lighting up. I say, wow, this is our property, yes, and I can see they're proud of it. Go for it. Don't let it stop you at any point. I think it's a very important thing for us to play with. 3 most popular types of images that guests want to see. And I get this stat from the big players, mostly from the OTAs. It has also changed in the last few years. It used to be one thing, but it's kind of starting to change again. The number 3 on the list is views. So people want to see views, but if we're talking about properties that are not in the city or not waterfront, the view might not be that important. If we're talking motels in regional Australia, maybe the view is a park view, but could be hinterland view, whatever works for you. But this is a bit too specific. Don't go crazy with that. Second one, amenities. And amenities are a very vast concept because it goes from bathroom amenities to swimming pool. And if I have the chance to shoot a swimming pool, yes, I'll always recommend we do during the day, we do during at dusk, so it's a bit more of a sexy scene, but also gym, sauna, conference rooms, everything that is not the room, yes, show them. They want to see everything. And the number 1, anyone's guess? Easy, right? Yeah. Yes, it's hard to start the whole process without having really nice images of your rooms. That's the basis. And again, I see men booking a room and women booking a room will see different things. But women can see way longer and deeper than men can see. Women are way more into the little details than we are, and I appreciate that. So when we do photograph the rooms, it has to be pristine, without lying. It's not about deceiving or letting the guest feel that he has been deceived or we under-delivered. That's one thing that is in 15 years has totally changed. I think 15 years ago, people would say, yeah, just Photoshop it out, do whatever you can. I did photograph a property in Brisbane by the Story Bridge, and the GM asked me to photograph all the rooms only with Story Bridge view. A month later, he calls me, Mauro, I have a problem because we are only advertising Story Bridge view rooms, and all the guests that don't check into that column of rooms are complaining. So that's important. Over-promising, yes, try to avoid it. I would not recommend that. And the same thing with props. Do we use props? Do we not use props? There is no right or wrong here. I would say, if you know your demographic, try to test the waters. See if they want to see props or if they want to see, they don't want to see, with lived-in touches like a cup of coffee or a wine bottle or a throw in bed, all the usual suspects. We can do everything, but I think it's important for you to understand what your guest wants to see. This is the most important suggestion that I would make in that sense. Do we have time for questions? Yes, Adrian is not behind my back, so it's good. So any questions specific to hotel photography? I would love to answer anything you have in mind.
I have one.
Yes?
Trends. What kind of trends? Because you talked about updating photos.
Yes.
Also trying to. Oh.
Sorry, grab the microphone. Thank you. Sorry, put the microphone. Didn't want the chair.
Thanks, Adrian. Awesome presentation. Trends is what I was asking about. You talked about updating photos so that we're in charge of the narrative, but I'm also interested that photography trends change, the way that we shoot things, the way that people expect images to look changes. How much do you think that has to play, and how do you see trends changing from what maybe you were doing 5, 10 years ago to now?
Well, excellent question. Thank you for that, Bart. The speed or the pace of changes is accelerating, but we can't become slaves to this, otherwise we go crazy, and you have to be really focused on what your demographic wants to see. But everything in regards to trends comes in waves. So most of the time we have these waves where, yeah, let's do all the photos now with models, everything with models. Let's represent all our audience. Yes, but be aware that it's an expensive exercise, as I said, because of paying all the team involved in it. I'm a big fan of lifestyle shots, but the life shelf is not as long as just a room shot, for example. It will probably give you different results and different returns, but a mix of it, if you can, try to do it. So this is one trend. And in general, look, there's one hotel chain that I work with here in Australia. They do photo shoots monthly. It's just amazing that someone can be that focused on changing images or refreshing their images monthly. It's a big task. It's not that easy, but I respect that. There are many other trends with lighting, for example, with space, showing things the old way, like we used to do moody shots. So I did see recently a test with eye tracking for images on screen, and where people look at first. So if you have a bunch of photos on screen, let's say 10 photos, the first image that people will be driven to or towards is the bright image. So if you think of your room shot on an OTA page, I'm just giving an example, 10 other properties on that page. If your image is the brightest one, you might be gaining some advantage there. It's not 100% of the cases, but our eyes are driven to brighter things. Having said that, if the hotel brand or the DNA of that hotel is a bit more of a moody place, it's a bit more of a fancy, quirky brand, I like having moody shots, darker, a bit more intimate, less wide open shots. but that's from case to case. There's not one solution fits all.
Mauro, I know this is not your area, but video.
100%.
I mean,
video
like,
has
we use
become
video and we find
powerful,
it's
yes.
very powerful, and when we build websites now, or even a lot of our email marketing, we have little GIFs that sort of fly around. What do you put the importance on video?
I would say
photos, but yeah.
Very, very important. I'm a big fan of video. It demands a bit more planning, and the team gets bigger when you involve video as a tool, as your digital asset to be used. And again, life shelf is not going to be as long. We talked about this, especially with TikTok, for example. I'm not a user of TikTok, but my daughter is 20 years old, and she actually books her travel experience to Thailand or to Bali, finding things on TikTok. Is that going to be the next thing in 10 years' time? I don't know, but I do respect the need of video, so much so that before I used to go only on my own to do a photo shoot. Now, when the GMs or the marketing team ask me if I do video, I have a cinematographer on site with me while I'm doing photos. He will be doing the videos.
Yeah, it saves costs. Yeah, I was about to say, it saves costs.
Yeah.
Both at the same time.
So,
talent.
but that's for one reason. It doesn't make the owner or the hotelier have to spend twice the time to get two deliverables. So we're there at the same time doing similar projects. One is more stills, the other one is moving images, but it makes the experience a bit more of a smooth one for the hotelier.
The videos and the images are the same sometimes when I mean, our struggle is when we do websites or marketing is photos and videos, and sometimes you get two photographers doing completely different images, or the video and the images, the vibe, it's just not there. So it's always good to do them at the same time. So that's my preference.
Yes.
Because then what you present visually or video or photo, it looks exactly the same, and you keep that constant message and that appeal across that. That's my...
Yeah, thank you for that question. I'm a big believer. I love videos, but you have to be aware, again, how much do you get out of each digital assets? If the photo will give you a certain return and the video a different one. They are different purposes, different missions. But I would say that they are as important as. And 360 virtual tours, especially for conferencing areas, yes, I would strongly recommend. Yep. Use all the tools available.
Yeah, and for 360, we also find that the more complex your accommodation, the room is, if you've got an outdoor bath or something, the 3D are even better. So if it's just a box that you're selling, I wouldn't do 3D, but if it's something a little bit more complex, it's an apartment or something, walk through 3Ds, the more information you can give to a person on your website, because I can tell you now, OTAs I don't think will have walkthroughs or videos or anything, the better it is, the more chance of you actually doing it. And one trick that we did for Capital Hotel Group and a few others, you probably don't want to hear this, but you know how sometimes you, on an OTA, you can't only put the photo, you can't put book direct. We actually put on their photos book direct and save 10%. So whenever they go on the OTA, sorry, but you probably say, you ruined my photo, but anyway, we've worked with Mauro for many years. So yeah. Mauro, thank you very much. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.